welcome back to the channel. This is another series of KGSP. This is my dear friend Anthony.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, okay, so my name is Anthony. I'm 23 years old and I'm from the UK. I was born in Hong Kong and I moved to the UK when I was young. So currently I am a KGSP scholar at Seoul National University and my major is in Korean Studies. Yes, nice to meet everyone. Hello. Okay.
So what was your major in the UK?
Right, so my major was actually the same as my current major. So I did Korean Studies, but for my undergrad I did Korean Studies with Japanese. So in terms of content, I did a lot of language focus in my undergrad, which is how I learned Korean. So I spent 4 years doing that, and then I obviously had my Japanese module for my minor.
So in this video we'll be talking about the application process that Anthony went through. How was it like? How did he get to know about KGSP? And then in the following videos we'll zoom in more about how to write your documents, how did he write his documents, how did he manage to secure his own scholarship. So remember to subscribe for more. So now we'll talk about the application process. So how was it like? How did you know about KGSP in the UK?
As I mentioned before, I did Korean Studies and that was at the University of Sheffield. We actually get a lot of people that go every year from our cohort. At least one person gets through every year just because we speak Korean, and we don't have a special connection. It's just that we get good students that come out of Korean Studies at University of Sheffield. So I knew about it because I knew people that came to Korea in the years above me. So I asked them about information and I looked up on the website as well, like studyingkorea.org, found out about the deadline and all that kind of stuff, and then I prepared for it. You need to submit your application by the beginning of March. So I started preparing about like January, February time. Most important thing is to get your recommendation letters done in time.
Right.
I had a very big scare with that. I actually had to go down to the embassy and hand the files in myself, but I don't live in London. I live very far from London.
True.
I had to take a coach down because my recommendation letters got messed up. The professor didn't do it correctly. Always check recommendation letters, people.
But we can't because it's sealed.
Yeah, you're not meant to, but like she messed it up. So I look, because like it's an envelope and it's got a little window on it. You know, envelopes with a little like, where your address is. I looked and I was like, oh, it looks a bit weird. It was from my personal tutor, but she didn't know me that well. I just got her to write the recommendation letter. When I asked for the recommendation letter, she asked me to write a bit about myself and send it to her to see if, you know, so she could reference and like write about me. But she copy and pasted the document.
Really?
And just put her signature on it. But like I gave her my document in bullet points.
Oh,
so I looked at the letter and I was
like bullet points.
So why are there bullet points? Like, it's not, because like paper's kind of see-through, isn't it? Yeah. So I looked at it. This is like a week before the deadline. Bear in mind, a week before the deadline. I was getting everything ready. I was about to send it, and I looked and I was like, this is weird. So I opened it, and lo and behold, she copy and pasted my document right there. So check your recommendation letters, or get the person recommending you to send you a copy, just so you've checked them. I obviously had to get her to do it again, but she wasn't in Sheffield.
So how?
So like I got a hold of her eventually, but like what, 2 days before the deadline.
So you went down afterwards?
Yeah, I wasn't relying on first class post service, because what if it doesn't get through? It most likely wouldn't. I could not risk it. I stayed in London for one night, slept there, went to the embassy in the morning. I was like, I'm here to hand in my thing. And this was like on the day.
Oh my god, I had a similar scare too.
Yeah, I had a very big scare. So get your recommendation letters.
And submit early, right?
Submit it early, get everything done. I think I had to get like 4 copies of my application.
Yeah,
It was a really long process. Just printing things out took a long time. And make sure all your documents are there. I had to prove that we were blood related. I don't remember. My real name's not Anthony.
What?
My original name used to be my Chinese name.
Ah.
So I got my name changed. For those who have had their name changed and it's different from their birth certificate, you need to prove that you got your name change done. You need that name change document. And you also need to prove your family relationship between your parents and yourself. So I submitted my birth certificate, my name change certificate, and then my parents' passports. All documents you need. For those who have a name change certificate.
Yes, bear that in mind.
Yeah.
After you submitted your documents, how long did it take for you to know about the first round of results?
So I think it took like a week, maybe. Not even that. Like just under 2 weeks, I think, because I had to get the interviews done. So I applied and I got the results back in like within 2 weeks, and then they were like, "Can you come down for an interview?" And then I said yes. They asked me if I wanted to do the interview on Skype.
Ooh.
Due to the changing. At that point, it was very, very beginning.
True.
The early stages of
of
COVID. So
yeah.
suddenly London went into lockdown, and they were like, "Do you want to do it online?" And I was like, "No, I'll do it in person." But I did not want to do it online because I was confident that I could, you know, show off a lot more in person.
What was the 3 choices of school?
Right, so I chose Seoul National University, which is the one I am at now, and then I did Yonsei. One of them has to be the...
Oh, it was from your year. I didn't have it.
Busan National University.
Oh, really? So it was Busan, Yonsei, and SNU.
Yeah.
Did you get into all 3?
Yes. We had to choose a Chidan Daehakkyo.
So he chose Busan.
My eyes were set on Seoul National University.
Why?
Because it was done in Korean, and
Yonsei is not?
Yonsei is in English.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I've already studied Korean studies in English. There's no point in me doing another degree that's exactly the same. So I wanted to challenge myself and do it in Korean, and it would look so good because I want to live here in the future, and it would look so good if I did a thesis in Korean.
Right.
It shows that I want to be in Korea and I'm willing to do things in Korean. Like, I can do things in Korean, right?
You're qualified, kind of.
Exactly. And also, Seoul National University. When you go try and get a job as a foreigner, it's so good.
The prestige,
it's like
alone. Harvard in the UK, but it's like in Korea.
The prestige alone, like
it's important.
Yeah.
Some people say that it's not, but we would say that it is important.
I would argue it's very important.
I would say it's important too.
Especially if you want to get a job in Korea.
Right.
So bear that in mind.
So after you got the result, how many was selected for the UK?
I don't know actually how many was selected for the interview. I think about like 10 to 15. I don't actually know because they don't tell us. Only 4 get through.
So 4 for the entire UK.
Yeah, we don't get many spaces.
Yeah. Because there are different rounds. So first is like the whole document round. Second is the interview. The third round is with the Korean universities, right?
Right.
So did you go through any phone interviews with the Korean university?
Only for Seoul National University.
Yes, only Seoul National University.
SNU loves to do interviews.
Really?
They're the only university that interviews.
Yeah, same.
They told me when I was going to get the call, so I had to like be awake for that.
Yeah, right.
UK time, I had to be awake at like...
Right, I forgot about
I think it was like 7 a.m. I was like on the phone, I was like, hello. I think someone at the office, the administration office, picked up first and I was like, we're going to interview now. And then they asked me a few questions. Basic information about me, like who I am, introduce yourself, and then they pass it on. Okay, so we're gonna transfer you to a professor. And then one of the professors interviewed me, but I only got 1 interview. The rest were just done automatically. I got an email saying I passed.
Yeah.
That was that.
I think it was only for SNU that you need to do a phone interview.
Yes.
So,
sometimes you do get phone interviews, so make sure you're prepared for it.
Check your emails. Was it the same for you guys? So like basically if you pass the interview, you're kind of like confirmed.
Pretty much.
Right?
There's no way you'll fail.
Unless you fail your health checkup.
Oh yeah. She felt that was.
Did you do your checkup?
Yeah, that was a pain. It was. I did it in COVID.
Really? Oh my god.
It was like peak COVID. This was April. There were there weren't any hospitals.
How did you get it then?
Hospitals weren't willing to do body checks on me because of COVID. I had to go to Manchester, which is like the next city across. I had to take a train and at like 7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my.
And that was peak COVID. They would not take me. I had to pay so much money for that.
How much was it? Did you remember?
Like £200. 100 to 200 pounds, which is like what?
So for the health checkup, a lot of you guys have been asking me because I was in Korea at the point in time. So I did my health checkup in Korea.
Yes.
So for those of you who are going to be doing it in your home country, Anthony is going to share with you guys how it works.
Right, so if you're from the UK, you cannot really get health check through the NHS. You have to get it done privately because you need the doctors to sign it for you and stuff, and you have to pay because it's for like personal reason. So I had to get it done privately. I had to pay for that out of my own pocket. It's like the chest X-ray, and then you have to get your blood taken.
Right.
Chest X-rays are very complicated in the UK because in Korea that's part of your health check normally, but in the UK you don't really check for like tuberculosis or like lung disorders. So I printed out the KGSP medical health checklist, and I gave it to the guy. I was like, you need to go through all of this with me. And they were like, okay, and they gave me a quote, and then I went down and did it. So I had to get my body physical examination at the clinic, and then they transferred me to a hospital where I got the x-ray done, because that's not done regularly. They don't have that in regular surgeons.
How about blood tests? You had to do a blood test, right?
I got it done at the clinic. They do blood tests at clinics, but they don't have the x-ray machine that you have to like hug.
Yeah.
So I paid a lot of money just to get my stuff done. But make sure you get it done. Like you need to go and get it done early and get it submitted fast and before the deadline, because it's an ordeal. It's a lot of stuff to do, especially if your country doesn't really do TB tests.
Oh, right.
So please, check your country can do easily and what your country can't do. What I recommend is just printing out the KGSP medical check
and bring it along with you,
and give it to the doctor beforehand and be like, you need to go through this with me. It's a good way. They'll know. They know what's on that checklist. You get it sorted out and then signed, and then you scan it and then you send it through, and that's it.
Yes. So print out the checklist. They will send it to you.
Make sure it's all checked off.
Yes.
You get a COVID test before you go, a PCR test before you go nowadays, before you come to Korea. £100 or something for like a COVID confirmation.
Right.
At that point, I didn't need a test. I just needed the doctors to confirm I didn't have symptoms. No doctors were open. So I had to get it done online, and I paid like £80 for a doctor just to be like, do you have a cough? Do you have a headache? And then he signed a letter, and then that was it. So make sure you get that PCR test provided done in English. The document has to be in English or Korean, and if it's not in Korean or English, the original document, you need to get that translated officially, and that costs money. That's expensive.
Yes, all the notarization.
And notarization is not, and also it needs to be done within 48 hours of you leaving.
Right. So basically, just go to a clinic that speaks English.
That does it in English.
Yeah.
It needs to be printed in English because you do not have time to get it translated.
Right.
You don't have time to get translated and then hop on the plane and then come. Like, you don't have time. You need to make sure everything is done in English.
Tell them about like the process. Like, people have been asking about how is the quarantine process like? Is someone there to pick you up in the airport?
I don't know how it is now because it's probably changed a lot, because mine was really like peak COVID.
Yeah.
I had trouble getting like medical exams done just to come here. I had to first of all get a doctor to confirm that I didn't have COVID symptoms. Nowadays you'd have to get a test, so make sure you know. For me anyway, don't quote me on this, it might have changed, but SNU provided me with accommodation. I stayed there for 2 weeks. I had to make my way there, so what I did was I landed in Korea. I ran into a little bit of a hurdle. I had a runny nose, so I got stopped at the airport.
Oh my God.
They tested me there and then. They put me in a hotel for a day. In the Incheon, the Incheon quarantine hotels. They put me there for a day. I was so scared because I needed to get into contact with Hoam. And I was like, I had to tell them I was going to be a day late, and like, I didn't know how I was going to work with quarantine. But in the end, it works out. That day, if you do get stops like me and get sent to a quarantine hotel to wait for your results to come out, that day counts as your quarantine. So I only had to quarantine 13 days afterwards. Well, I was worried about that because I planned all my plans. I needed to go house hunting as soon as I finished quarantine on that day.
Didn't you like apply for someone to pick you up?
Yes, but they didn't because of COVID. They were like they cancelled it last minute. They said we can't pick you up.
So you make your way there.
Yeah, they probably won't be able to pick you up anymore.
My friend did though. So I think it's because she went to the language school. So they picked all of them up at the Incheon airport.
Yeah, no, SNU doesn't.
Yeah.
SNU wouldn't.
I think it's because Anthony didn't have to go through the 1-year language program.
Yeah, I didn't have to.
So if you guys are going through the language program, then maybe they will like organize like a whole bus for you to pick you up and then bring you to like maybe Daejeon or like.
Normally, you would quarantine in the dorms.
Yeah.
If you lived in the dorms, you'd quarantine in the dorms. But the reason why I didn't quarantine indoors because I don't live in the dorms. At first, they told me I could, even though I didn't live there, and I confirmed that with them. But at the very last minute, they were like, "Oh no, you can't actually because you don't live in dorms." So I panicked.
Yeah, you have to check things.
Please
with them.
make sure things.
They can like go like both ways.
Yeah, they literally told me no, even though I sent a few emails. I was like, can you confirm I will 100% be in the dorms to quarantine? And they were like, yes. And then they turned around and were like, no, actually.
And how did you find the Huan one?
They were like, oh, we will
provide
it for you.
Alright, but you guys have to check. For those with going through the language program, you might have a bus that will bring you to the school dorm and then you quarantine there. But if you're going to be starting school straight away in Seoul, then you will probably have to make your own way to your dorm or like residence, or you can either book an Airbnb and quarantine there.
Or you do quarantine in the government hotel, but that's very expensive. Please check what's waived and what's not.
Because things are changing now. It's different.
SNU waived mine because I am a KGSP scholar and I didn't pay a single dime. I just applied and they put me in, and the payment wasn't through me. KGS probably done some, like, they paid for me obviously, but I was waived. So please check how your quarantine works.
So this is like basically the application process. Okay, so the next video we're going to talk about the whole documents, how to write your documents. So yes.